Before we start, kill the lights, put your headphones on, and if you make it to the end, remember to like, share, and subscribe so more people can hear these stories that should have stayed buried. In October of 2021, I was working as a long-haul driver out of Colorado, hauling electronics through the western states. Most nights were just caffeine and yellow lines, but there is one stretch of Nevada highway that still wakes me up sweating. If you have driven central Nevada, you know how empty it is. One of my regular routes turned into a narrow 2-lane highway with maybe one gas station every 60 or 70 miles. Out there, you can kill your lights, look up, and feel like the road and the stars are the only things left. That night, I was behind schedule. It was close to 2 in the morning. The rain had become mist, fog hugging the shoulders. The last town was 50 miles behind me. The last mile marker I remember clearly was 213. Then, the CB reacted on its own. The speaker hissed even though the volume was low. Static flared and a voice came through, muffled as if it were underwater. You are almost there. No call sign, no chatter. Just that. I switched channels. Nothing. Turned the unit off. The green light flickered twice, then died. I told myself it was interference, or that I was too tired and kept driving. 15 minutes later, I saw lights ahead. A small, low building sat off the right side of the highway. One story, 2 big front windows glowing pale blue. No pumps, no sign, no pavement. Just dirt and this weird little structure. That portion of the road is supposed to be empty for 30 miles. At least I slowed. My headlights swept across the front. There was a single glass door, and over it, faded red block letters. Welcome. My fuel gauge was lower than I liked, and the thought of coffee pulled me in. I told myself it was a new station that had not hit the GPS yet. I pulled onto the dirt and left the truck idling. The blue light inside did not spill out at all. It stopped like a wall at the windows. I saw no shells, no movement, just a glowing haze. The moment my boot touched the ground, the engine shut off, from full idle to nothing. No sputter, no warning lights, just dead. The dash still glowed, but the engine was silent. I locked the cab out of habit and walked toward the door. The closer I got, the more wrong the light felt. It did not flicker or buzz. It just sat there, steady and cold. I pressed my hand to the glass. It was warm. Inside, there was no visible floor or ceiling, just a thick pale haze that swallowed my reflection. Then faint shapes moved within it, darker patches like shadows shifting behind frosted glass. I could not focus on them long without my eyes watering. That was when I heard the voice again. You are almost there. Same words as before, but now it sounded close. Right beside my head, like it was speaking through the glass. I stumbled back. My heel hit something metal, and I went down hard. Gravel cut into my palms. I shut my eyes for a second from the pain. When I opened them, the building was gone. No structure, no dirt lot. I was on the shoulder of an empty highway. My truck sat exactly where it had been before, nose angled slightly toward the lane. The blue light was gone as if it had never existed. The engine was idling again. Hands shaking, I climbed into the cab, slammed the door, and got back on the road. A few minutes later, I passed the next mile marker. It said 212. I had never seen that building before, and I have never seen it since, even though I still take that route. I replaced the CB, but sometimes on those silent stretches when it is just me and the dark, the speaker pops with a tiny burst of static, and a soft voice slips through, just before everything goes quiet. You are almost there. In August of 2019, My cousin Tyler invited 3 of us to his parents' lake house in northern Minnesota. Their place sat on a tiny island in the middle of a long, narrow lake that you almost miss on the map. No road, no bridge, just a boat ride and silence. Cell service died 10 minutes before the marina. Perfect, we thought. No calls, no notifications, just fishing, drinks, and stars. We arrived at the small marina at sunset. An older man, the owner of the bait shop, helped us load the aluminum boat. His hands shook a little when he heard where we were going. "You boys staying on Birch Hollow?" he asked. "Yeah," Tyler said. "Family cabin." The old man squinted at us. "Stick to your island after dark," he said. "Sound carries on this lake. You hear something, you ignore it. You see anything that looks like another cabin out there, you turn around and go home." We laughed, thanked him, and pushed off. Horror story warning from the local old-timer, we figured. The cabin was simple. 2 bedrooms, a small kitchen, and a deck facing the lake. As the light faded, the water turned black and glassy, reflecting a thin orange strip of sky. Across the lake, we could make out the shapes of other islands, but no docks or lights. Night dropped quick. We grilled, drank, and told stories. Around midnight, the generator hiccuped, shut off for a second, then came back, making the lights flicker. Tyler went outside to check the fuel, leaving the screen door open. That was when we heard the first knocks. 3 slow hits, echoing over the water. Not on our door. Far away, like someone pounding on wood across the lake. Heavy, deliberate, too clean to be anything natural. We looked at each other. Tyler stepped back inside as another set of 3 knocks rolled over the water, a little louder this time. "You guys hear that?" I asked. "Probably someone at another cabin," Tyler said, though he was frowning. "Doing repairs or something." "At midnight?" Sam whispered. The sound stopped. We tried to shake it off and go back to our drinks, but every small noise made us jump. A little after 1, Marcus convinced us to switch off all the lights so we could see the stars. We killed the generator. The island vanished into darkness. The stars were incredible, doubled in the still water. For a minute, it felt calm again. Then, a porch light came on across the lake. A warm yellow square flicked on far to our left, outlining a cabin on an island we had not seen before. The glow revealed a small dock, a couple of posts, and the silhouette of a rocking chair. "That was not there earlier," Marcus said quietly. Tyler swallowed. "Guess it is a rental. Someone came in late." As if the lake wanted to respond, we heard the knock again. 3 slow booms, like a fist on wood. Only this time we could see the lit cabin clearly. The porch was empty. No one moved behind the windows. It was like a set built for a play, waiting for actors who never showed up. "You hear that, right?" I asked. Tyler nodded now. Sam shifted closer to the door. I pulled out my phone by reflex. No service. No way to call anyone, and no one within miles to answer if we did. The porch light turned off. That whole island disappeared into black. A heartbeat later, 3 heavy thuds shook the wall behind us. Not distant. Not across the lake. Right on the exterior wall of our cabin. We jumped to our feet. Tyler lunged for the switch and started the generator. The lights came back with a stuttering hum. We rushed onto the deck. Nobody stood outside. The dock was empty. Water lapped softly against the posts, calm as ever, with flashlights and a rusty hatchet. We found in the shed. We circled the cabin and checked the shoreline. Only our footprints marked the damp boards. No boat had tied up. The trees at the center of the island were still. We barely slept. In the morning, we aimed the boat toward where the mysterious cabin had been. When we got there, all we found was a low rock hump with scrub trees and moss. No dock, no pilings. No sign a structure had stood there in decades. If ever back at the marina, the old man was sweeping the steps. "Y'all hear anything?" he asked. "Knocking," I said. And there was a cabin across the lake that is gone now. His face drained of color. You broke 2 rules, he said. You listened, and you looked. What is it? Tyler asked. He shook his head slowly. You tell yourself it was fog and bad eyes, he said. If you do not, you will start thinking about going back. That is when people vanish out here. We left that day and never returned. Sometimes, when I sit in a quiet room with headphones on and the world finally goes silent, I swear I hear it again, right at the edge of perception. 3 soft knocks, just beyond wherever I am. In January of 2022, I signed on for a 6-month contract at a remote weather station in northern Canada. Station 9 was a squat cluster of prefabs on frozen ground, reachable only by helicopter when the weather allowed. The sun barely skimmed the horizon. The radio was our connection to the hub, far to the south. There were 6 of us, rotating long shifts and trying not to get on each other's nerves. Isolation was expected. What nobody prepared us for was the voice. I handled the telecom relay. Every night at 3 a.m., I sat in a cramped room full of equipment, checking signal strength and logging transmissions. About 3 weeks in, I noticed a faint spike on the spectrum just before the official traffic arrived. A tiny blip at a frequency we did not use. One night, bored and curious, I tuned it in. At first, it sounded like plain static. Then, under the hiss, I heard slow breathing. Not wind, not interference. Breathing. Steady, patient, too regular to ignore. I pulled the headphones off, heart pounding, then told myself I was imagining things. The next night, I recorded it. Same time, same channel, same pattern. 10 seconds of static with that horrible breathing buried in it. Then the normal station reports. I took the audio to Marie, our site lead. Could be atmospheric noise, she said, but her face had gone tight. Log it and move on. The signal came back every night. The breathing grew clearer. Sometimes there was a click, like a tongue against teeth, or the faint creak of something close to a microphone. Then, one night, the breathing stopped. The static thinned. A voice spoke. Station 9, it said. Open the door. 4 words. Flat. Stretched. The rhythm sounded like mine, but wrong. Like somebody copying my voice from memory. I checked the logs. No scheduled tests. Nothing assigned to that band. Our external intercoms were not patched through this board. I woke Marie and dragged her to the comms room. Together we listened to the recording. The blip, the hiss, the breathing, then the words. Station 9, open the door. Marie pulled up the internal alert log. There was a motion trigger at the south airlock right at 3, she said. Camera recorded static, not video. We watched the feed. At 2:59, the corridor outside the airlock was empty under flickering fluorescent light. At 3 o'clock exactly, the image turned to snow for 10 seconds, then popped back. Nothing looked different except for one thing. After the static, the camera view was angled just a little lower, like someone had touched it. Marie told me to label it a glitch and to forget that frequency. We changed the tuner, locked in the official bands, and tried to pretend the signal did not care. The next night at 3, every radio speaker in the room crackled, even the ones that were supposed to be muted. The hidden band forced itself through. The breathing returned, wet and slow. Station 9, the voice whispered. You are not alone out there. It sounded different to everyone. I heard my own warped voice. Marie later said it sounded like her sister. One of the mechanics thought it was his father. It felt like something was reaching inside each of us, finding a familiar sound and wearing it. Marie slammed the volume down. No one tunes that frequency again, she said. We do our jobs and we keep the radios where they belong. For 2 nights, nothing happened. Then, the motion alarms went off. Every exterior door flashed red on the panel, one after another. We grabbed radios and the emergency shotgun and crowded into the control room. All the exterior cameras showed static. On the audio, under the screaming wind, we heard something brushing along the outside walls. Not claws or paws. It sounded like bare skin dragging over metal. Then, there was a knock. One soft knock on the south airlock door. A moment later, one on the east door, then one on the west. Slow, patient, like someone tapping to see which entrance we preferred. The main radio on the desk turned itself on. The dial scraped as it moved to the forbidden channel. "Open the door," the voice said. "You called us." My stomach dropped. I remembered that first night, when I had tuned the blip and boosted the gain, pushing our tiny signal outward. I had answered whoever, or whatever, was listening on that dead piece of spectrum. The lights went out. The generator failed, plunging us into darkness as the storm pounded the walls. Our headlamps cut thin cones through the black. The alarms were dead. The only steady sound was the wind screaming and the muffled scrape of something huge moving around the building. Nobody spoke. 7 minutes crawled by. When the backup kicked in, the panels lit, the heaters hummed, and the cameras came back online. Outside, the snow was smooth and untouched. No footprints, no marks on the doors. Just white stretching in every direction. The strange frequency never appeared on the logs again. We finished the season. On my last day, as the helicopter rose and Station 9 shrank to a gray dot on the ice, my headset crackled. Barely audible under the pilot's voice, I heard a whisper that sounded exactly like mine, run through a broken filter. "We will see you soon." I left telecom, took a job in a crowded city full of traffic noise and bright lights. At night, I sleep with a fan and a radio turned between stations so the room is full of harmless static. Every so often, the sound pattern shifts. The hiss deepens. And for a second, if I let myself listen too closely, I swear I hear that slow breathing again, waiting for me to tune it in. If you are still with me, watching this alone with your curtains open and your lights down, maybe that was a mistake. If you ever find yourself in a place that feels wrong and empty, and you see a building that was not there before, or hear knocking where nothing should be, walk away. And if a voice on a dead channel ever tells you that you are almost there, do yourself a favor. Do not find out where there is. If these stories followed you into the dark tonight, hit like, share this with a friend who will not sleep afterward, and subscribe for more true horror from the places people are smart enough to avoid.